That is the question, yes. Not divine grace, the super self, some fictitious outside agency. Can the consciousness empty itself of all this content? First, see the beauty of it, sir. I see it. Because it must empty itself without an effort. The moment there is an effort, there is the observer who is making the effort to change the content, which is part of consciousness. I don't know if you see that. I follow. This emptying has to be effortless, instantaneous. It must be without an agent who is operating on it, whether an outside agent or an inner agent. Now, can this be done without any effort, any directive which says, I will change the content? This means the emptying of consciousness of all will to be or not to be. Sir, look what takes place. I am watching. I put the question to myself. Nobody has put it to me. Because it is a problem of life, a problem of existence in this world, it is a problem which my mind has to solve. Can the mind, with all its content, empty itself and yet remain mine, not just float about? It is not suicide. No. There is some kind of subtle? No, sir. That is too immature. I have put the question. My answer is, I really don't know. That is the truth. I really don't know. But I'm going to find out, in the sense of not waiting to find out. The content of my consciousness is my unhappiness, my misery, my struggles, my sorrows, the images which I have collected through life, my goals, the frustrations, the pleasures, the fears, the agonies, the hatreds. That is my consciousness. Can all that be completely emptied? Not only at the superficial level, but right through the so-called unconscious. If it is not possible, then I must live a life of misery. I must live in endless, unending sorrow. There is neither hope nor despair. I am in prison. So the mind must find out how to empty itself of all the content of itself, and yet live in this world. Not become a moron, but have a brain that functions efficiently. Now, how is this to be done? Can it ever be done? Or is there no escape for man? I follow. Because I don't see how to get beyond this, I invent all the gods, temples, philosophies, rituals. You understand? I understand. This is meditation, real meditation, not all the phony stuff. To see whether the mind with the brain, which has evolved through time, which is the result of thousands of experiences, the brain that functions efficiently only in complete security, whether the mind can empty itself and yet have a brain that functions as a marvelous machine. Also, it sees love is not pleasure, love is not desire. When there is love, there is no image, but I don't know what that love is. I only want love as pleasure. Sex, and all the rest of it. There must be a relationship between the emptying of consciousness and the thing called love, between the unknown and the known, which is the content of consciousness. I am following you. There must be this relationship. The two must be in harmony. The emptying and love must be in harmony, and it may be only love that is necessary and nothing else. This emptying is another word for love. Is that what you are saying? I'm only asking, what is love? Is love within the field of consciousness? No, it couldn't be. Don't stipulate. Don't ever say yes or no. Find out. Love within the content of consciousness is pleasure, ambition, and all that. Then what is love? I really don't know. I won't pretend anymore about anything. I don't know. There is some factor in this which I must find out. Whether the emptying of consciousness with its content is love, which is the unknown. What is the relationship between the unknown and the known? Not the mysterious unknown, God or whatever name you give it. We will come to God if we go through this. The relationship between the unknown, which I don't know, which may be called love, and the content of consciousness, which I know, What is the relationship between the known and the unknown? To move between the known and the unknown is harmony, is intelligence, isn't it? Absolutely. So I must find out, the mind must find out how to empty its content. That is, have no image, therefore no observer. The image means the past, or the image which is taking place now, or the image which I shall project into the future. So no image, no formula, idea, ideal, principle. All that implies image. Can there be no formation of image at all? You hurt me, or you give me pleasure, and therefore I have an image of you. So no image formation when you hurt me or give me pleasure. Is it possible? Of course it is. Otherwise I am doomed. You are doomed. In other words, I am doomed. We are doomed. Is it possible when you insult me to be completely watchful, attentive, so that it doesn't leave a mark? I know what you mean. When you flatter me, no mark, then there is no image. So I have done it. The mind has done it, which is no formation of image at all. If you don't form an image now, the past images have no place. I don't follow that. If I don't form an image now, the past images have no place. If you form an image, then you are related to it. You are connected to the past images. That is right. But if you don't form any, then you are free from the past. See it? See it? Very clear. So the mind can empty itself of images by not forming an image now. If I form an image now, then I relate with past images. So consciousness, the mind, can empty itself of all images by not forming an image now. Then there is space, not space around the center, and if one goes into it much further, then there is something sacred, not invented by thought, which has nothing to do with any religion. Thank you. I have another question which I wanted to ask you. We see the stupidity of so many traditions which people hollow today, but there aren't some traditions transmitted from generation to generation which are valuable and necessary, and without which we would lose the little humanity that we know have? Are there traditions that are based on something real which are handed down? Handed down. Ways of living, even if only in an external sense. If I hadn't been taught from childhood not to run in front of a car, that would be the simplest example. Or to be careful of fire, be careful of irritating the dog which might bite you, and so on. That is also tradition. Yes, that certainly is. The other kind of tradition is that you must love. That is the other extreme. And the tradition of the weavers in India and other places, they can weave without a pattern, and yet they weave in a tradition which is so deeply rooted that they don't even have to think about it. It comes out with their hands. I don't know if you have ever seen it. In India, they have a tremendous tradition and they produce marvelous things. Also, there is the tradition of the scientist, the biologist, the anthropologist, which is tradition as the accumulation of knowledge, handed over by one scientist to another scientist, by a doctor to another doctor, learning. Obviously, that kind of tradition is essential. I wouldn't call that tradition, would you? No, that is not what I had in mind. What I meant by tradition was a way of living. I wouldn't call that tradition. Don't we mean by tradition some other factor? Is goodness a factor of tradition? No, but perhaps there are good traditions. Good traditions conditioned by the culture in which one lives. Good tradition among the Brahmins used to be not to kill any human being or animal. They accepted that and functioned. We are saying, is goodness traditional? Can goodness function, blossom in tradition? What I am asking then is, are there traditions which are formed by an intelligence, either single or collective, which understands humans' nature? Is intelligence traditional? No, but can intelligence form or shape a way of living which can help other men more readily to find themselves? I know that this is a self-initiated thing that you speak of, but are there not men of great intelligence who can shape the external conditions for me, so that I will not have quite as difficult a time to come to what you have seen? This means what, sir? You say you know? I don't say I know. I am taking that. Suppose you are the great person of tremendous intelligence, and you say, my dear son, live this way. Well, I don't have to say it. You exude your atmosphere, your aura, and then I say, I'll try it. He has got it. I haven't got it. Can goodness flower in your ambience? Can goodness grow under your shadow? No, but then I wouldn't be intelligent if I made those my conditions. Therefore, you are stating that goodness cannot operate, function, flower in any environment. No, I didn't say that. I was asking, are there environments which can be conducive to liberation? We will go into this. A man who goes to a factory every day, day after day, and finds release in drink and all the rest of it. This is the example of a poor environment, a bad tradition. So what does that man who is intelligent, who is concerned with changing the environment, do for the man? Perhaps he is changing the environment for himself, but he understands something about man in general. I am talking now about a great watcher, a great teacher, whatever that is. He presents a way of life to us which we don't understand, which we haven't verified ourselves, but which somehow acts on something in us to bring us a little together. That is Satsung, which is the company of the good. It is nice to be in the company of the good, because we won't then quarrel. We won't fight each other when we won't be violent. It is good. All right. But maybe the company of the good means that I will quarrel, but I'll see it more. I'll suffer it more. I'll understand it better. So you want the company of the good in order to see yourself more clearly? Yes. Which means you depend on the environment to see yourself. Well, perhaps in the beginning. The beginning is the first step and the last step. I don't agree. Let's go into it a little bit. See what has happened. I go with good men because in that ambiance, in that atmosphere, I see myself more clearly. Because they are good, I see my idiocies. Sometimes it happens that way. I am taking this. That is one example, right? Or I am also good, therefore I live with them. Then I don't need them. No, we don't need them, all right? If I am good, I don't need them. But when I am not good and come into their presence, then I can see myself clearly. Then to see myself clearly, I must have them. This is what generally takes place. They become important, not my goodness. This happens every day. But is there not such a thing as weaning the baby by blackening the breast? It happens that I do need these men, maybe in the beginning. I'm going to question it. I want to find out. First of all, if I'm good, I don't need them. I am like those hills and birds which have no need. Right, we can rule that out. When I am not good, I need their company, because in their company I see myself clearly. I feel a breath of freshness, or how bad I am. The moment I have a horror of myself in the largest sense of the word, I am merely comparing myself with them. No, not always. I can expose the image I have of myself as a lie. Now I'm questioning whether you need them to expose yourself as a liar. In principle, no. No, not in principle. Either it is so or it is not. That is the question. Which means if I need them, then I am lost, and I will forever hang on to them. Sir, this has happened since human relationships began. Yes, it has, but also happens that I hang on for a while and then I write it. Therefore, why don't you, the good man, tell me, look, begin. You don't need me. You can watch yourself now clearly. Maybe if I told you that, you would take it utterly wrongly and misunderstand me completely. Then what shall I do? Go on hanging on to you, run after you? Not what shall you do, but what do you do? What they generally do is run after him. They generally do, yes, and hold on to his skirts. But that is perhaps because the teacher is not intelligent. No, he says, look, I could teach you, my friend. I have nothing to teach. If I'm really good, I have nothing to teach. I can only show. But he doesn't say it. He does it. I say, look, I don't want to teach you. You can learn from yourself. Yes, all right. Suppose he says that. Yes, he says, learn from yourself. Don't depend. That means you being good are helping me to look at myself, attracting you. No. You are putting me in a corner so that I can't escape. I see what you are saying, but it is the easiest thing in the world to escape. I don't want to. Sir, you tell me. Don't depend for goodness. Have no dependency. If you want to be good, you cannot depend on anything. Anything external. Yes, all right. On anything external or inward. Don't depend on anything. It doesn't mean that just don't depend on the postman. It means inwardly don't depend. Right. This means what? I depend. He has told me one thing. Don't depend on me or on anybody. Wife, husband, daughter, politician, don't depend. That's all. He goes away. He leaves me with that. What shall I do? Find out if he is right, but I do depend. That's what I mean. I do depend on my wife, on the priest, on some psychoanalyst. I do depend. Then I begin. Because he tells me the truth, you follow, sir. It is a there. I have to work it out. So I have to find out if it is the truth or if it is a falsehood. Which means I must exercise my reason, my capacity, my intelligence. I must work. I can't just say, well, he has gone. I depend on my cook, so I have to find out. I have to see the truth and the false. I've seen it that doesn't depend on anybody, right? Even the company of the good doesn't teach me what is good and what is false or true. I have to see it, absolutely. So I don't depend on anybody to find out what is true and what is false. Malibu, California, March 26, 1971.